Good evening and welcome to round 6 of the European Sprint Series, brought to you live from Spa Francorchamps circuit in Belgium, broadcast live on the TSS YouTube channel and using iRacing, the world's premier simulator. I'm James Parfit, and as always I will be joined shortly by Mr. Chris Rowlands into the booth. Now, the track, as always, is 4.31 kilometers or 4.31 miles or 7k, and a famous Belgian forest we go for this week 6 event. The home of the Belgian Grand Prix, the 24 Hours of Spa, and the Spa 100k. What more can you ask for this evening? I tell you what we'll ask for is Mr. Chris Rowlands to join us into the booth. Chris, welcome in.
Evening, James. Good evening, everyone. And yeah, I think this should be an interesting race because, of course, we've got, as you say, we've got the Daytona 24 at the weekend. So this is going to be a little bit quieter tonight. What I reckon we will see, though, is quite close racing within the classes because this has split into 3 individual races. Slightly smaller grid, but very concentrated with top talent. I mean, I'm pretty sure the lowest driver in the split, so that's car number 31, is still 2.4k iRating, which is well above average. I think that would put someone in easily the top 20% of all iRating, possibly even I think top 10%. It really is skewed. We sort of do see the best of the best here, and I'm expecting Spa to throw up a really interesting race.
Yeah, I think we were discussing about it off before we went live, and obviously we said Spa is just a different entity to Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen might be an easier circuit to drive, but Spa's got a little bit more room than Watkins Glen on the long straights of obviously down Camel and round Blanchimont in the back. Are we going to see this same indecisive driving, or are we going to see clean overtakes, you reckon, going into Lacoon?
I don't want to tempt fate because the second I say yes, this will be an entirely clean race. We'll have a ridiculous pile-up a la F1 in, was it 97, I think? I mean, appreciate rain is not yet in iRacing, soon. But yeah, I think it's going to be very competitive, I think, and often that competitiveness can lead to incidents, although certainly I'd say most of our regular drivers we know by now are all pretty safe. Certainly the people we've seen this season anyway. We've not seen too many egregious incidents so far this season, but of course there is still time. But Spa, I think it's not an easy circuit, but it's a circuit most European racing fans will be very aware of, and we're all pretty solid at driving it now, certainly within our own levels of talent. So I think we'll see less chaos, but there probably will still be chaos.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Spa is one of them circuits that, it's like we said, we don't predict chaos, but somehow it just manages to find us. And generally, though, we would look at La Source to provide us with the most chaos, especially the tight right-hander, after the start.
Yes and no. I maybe this is more of an open wheel thing, but I tend to find the biggest issue is on lap 1 coming out of Radion, where some people are just a little bit overcommitted, maybe not realising that the car in front has punctured a hole in the air and it's going to handle differently to what they've been doing in practice. The amount of mad incidents we've seen on the runoff out of Radion, I think that's where we're going to see anything we do. Although, as you say, La Source is a good place to make an overtake, just maybe not on lap 1. And as we're seeing here, the number 21 go round, that's Bassetti. The top drivers can really commit to carrying the speed through there and basically nearly kiss that wall on the inside. You can save so much time as we see the 24 go round. Probably more like how I would go round, a bit more conservatively, but that's not slow. And to be honest, Carmo is probably a fair sight quicker than me, so I'm being very, very generous to myself by comparing me to him.
Yeah, I think that's one of them things. That inside line, you've either got to be really brave to get as close to the wall as you possibly can on this track. Because I just find that corner as one of the corners that if you get it wrong, it goes horribly wrong. And for some reason, you end up in the pit lane wall. Because as you go round, your back end just comes out. And next thing you know, you're in the pit lane wall. I don't know about yourself on that one.
It's one of those things. That's where the top drivers, they just practice because they need to know that braking marker like it's second nature. They need to know exactly how that car is going to behave under braking at all points, at all pressures. And once you understand how your car is going to brake, you can get La Source right. And once you can get the braking right there, you can carry a ton more speed through the apex, which is where most of the time is made by the top drivers. It's not that they're braking later, it's that they're braking under a lot more control and carrying a lot more speed through the corner. And I think Spa is a circuit that really exacerbates this, which is why it's sort of, you really see the top drivers shine here more so than maybe other tracks like Watkins.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It is a completely different circuit. Some people absolutely love it. I love Spa. I think it's an absolutely incredible circuit. You know, it can suit these cars down to the ground. As you say, if you get it right, it's amazing. But when it goes wrong, it can just go really quite horribly wrong, can't it? It's race over, you know, coming into the last chicane. If you hit the inside curb before you turn, you're off again. It's just one of them circuits that, as a driver, though, Chris, I find you've got to practice. I don't think you can come into Spa straight into, say, for instance, an A license and go, right, I'm going to race ESS this week. It's just not that type of circuit.
Your fellow drivers wouldn't appreciate it if you did rock up without doing any practice, because you're probably the one causing the incidents. But I think we did see last season, coming into the final chicane, not so much losing it on entry, although that did happen a couple of times. The majority of the incidents came from people putting the power on too quickly and sort of spinning it, oversteering, losing the rear on the exit. So look out for that again tonight.
Yeah, the grid is up on screen there, Chris. I've just seen it pop up. Why don't you run us through tonight's grid?
Right, so we've got a familiar face, Simon Cowlarts. He has put it on pole with a 148.696, and he's got a fair gap back to Neil de Backer in second, who is about 6.5 tenths behind. Following them on row 2, we've got Alexander Gerber in third and Jim de Backer behind his brother in fourth. These are the only four within a second of the leader. Daniele Pizzo is in fifth, followed by Luca Thingard. And then row 4 is Dominic Inglecht and Roberto Eduard. And then bringing up the back is Luke Santos, who I would say he's a little bit off the pace for what we'd normally expect from him, but it'll be interesting to see if he can make it through the grid. And then if we switch down to LMP2, Paulo Munoz has put it on pole, and he is alongside Timo Hayden, who, watch out for those two. They are cars 1 and 2 on the grid today, so they are our strongest two in terms of iRacing, and you can perhaps see why with the gap back to Dave Lloyd and Stuart Bickley in third and fourth for an all UK and Ireland row 2. Alberto Blasco is in fifth alongside Nick Burke, and then following them is Yanis Mengling and Joost Bouwmeester. And then ninth is Fabio Bassetti and Dylan Freckleton, with John Langland, the last of the people to set a time, with Samantha Oops alongside in 12th of the 12-car LMP2 field. And then in the GTE field, we've got the motorsport-themed named Sebastian Uber in pole. He's done a 2:10.220. Alongside him is Jean-Luc Denayer. He is just under 2 tenths behind, so that looks like it's going to be a close battle, with Michael Gross in third. Davide Troccoli is in fourth, a bit of a gap back there, and then Jorge Carmo is fifth alongside Gustavo Colucci. Fabian Alex and Regis Lotin are on the fourth row in 7th and 8th respectively. Wallerand Greve, he is the last person that set a time, he is in 9th, and Sergio Carmo did not set a time and will be starting at the back. And James, it looks like we don't have to do an entire lap of safety car, which I'm sure is a relief to the drivers.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's also a relief to us, Chris, as well. As you can see, guys, we are starting on turn 16, 17 of Blanchimont, coming down into the chicane first. So if you are wanting a drink, you do want your popcorn, you better grab it now, guys, because very shortly these LMP1s are going to be coming into the bus stop chicane, and then it's going to be green for tonight's ESS Week 6 at the famous Spa circuit. Simon Cowlarts, Neil de Backer, Jim de Backer, Luca Thingard in here as well. It is going to be an absolutely extraordinary race, guys. These LMP1s are going to be absolutely flying. And here we go. We are going to be about green now. There's action at the back there. I can't quite make out who that is. Is that car number 20 there? Is that Luke Santos at the bell? Or Gerber has spun it on the bus stop, Chris, on the way out. There's another one there as well. There's a Jim de Backer has also put the power down too early, coming out of La Source. And this is what we were talking about earlier on, Chris, with how slippery it is on that one.
I'm a bit surprised, because it's not like the track temps are that high. It must just be maybe a lack of practice, maybe just really being taken aback by the lack of grip. And look how close the LMP2 field is.
Yeah, Pablo Nunez is out in front, Timo Hayden, David Lloyd, Blasco's in there. Bickley is believes right up back of Blasco. But here we go for Alexander Gerber is on the back end there. He's trying as much as he possibly can to defend from Jim DeBacco, who is recovering from his spin earlier on, Chris. And I think it might have just caught Jim out. Jim's not the normal person that we would see coming out the end of the first corner. And I think it might have just caught him out how slippery it actually is this evening.
I think there's also been incidents in LMP2 because it looks like Stuart Bickley is falling down the order. So that might have been coming through the chicane at the end of the straight back there. And that's a real shame for Stuart, but it is a very, very, as you see used here in the middle of it, this is a very tight mid-pack in the LMP2s tonight.
Yeah, Hughes Bauminster, Fabio Bassetti, Yannis Menglin, all involved in this freeway battle. John Langham behind and Samantha Oops are all tucked up really close together, guys. This is the battle for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th on track. As we see Hughes there, Fabio making the move past Menglin. And that's job done for him, but he's still not complete though, Chris. This is what I find with LMP2s, is you can lose one position, but if you get offline, everybody else is going to follow that overtaking car through. You'll end up losing, well, at certain times of the track, it could be 3, 4, 5 positions. Yeah,
and we saw it a little bit at Daytona 2 weeks ago, in that, you know, you really have to decide if you're in the middle. Do you fight for your position, or do you let someone go and potentially compromise yourself with the people behind them? And especially on lap 1, track position can be very important. You just don't want to end your race early, like we've seen for Gerber, DeBacco and Bickley.
We just see Hughes Bauminster tries just getting past Menglin. The job's done for him. He's now up into 7th in class. But this is what we're talking about. We've got John Langan, I believe, on our left-hand side. There we go with Yannis. If Yannis isn't careful, they're going to slip down the order. And I think now he's just got to try and hang on to the back of Hughes Bauminster all the way from the run up through Al Rouge Radion and down onto the Camel Straight and try and get that position back going into Lacoum. But this is where I think, Chris, we're going to see most of it this evening.
I think so. So we're looking at potentially an overtake here from Mengling. Is he going to get on the outside, which can help coming through the chicane because he can brake a little bit later. Just see who can hold their nerve, and it's the 23 who holds their nerve. That's Bauminster, and he keeps the position.
Yeah, Bauminster kept the position from Yannis Menglin there, going into Lacoum, dropping down into the back of Rivage. But here we go down into the GT3. Gustavo Colucci, the only Corvette in the field this evening, has just got overtaken by Regis Lotin with Fabio Ali behind him. And now, are we looking at then, is this Corvette under... Is he a bit out of his field there, Chris? You know, everybody else is taking a Porsche. You know, he's in the Corvette. We know it's got a top-end speed, quite, you know, a good top-end speed. Was that what Gustavo Colucci was kind of relying on this evening while taking this Corvette? But at the moment, it doesn't seem to be working out for him.
It depends on your strategy with how you race, because while track position is obviously important, and especially important at the end of the race, in endurance racing, and I know this is sprint endurance, but an hour-long race, you almost don't have to think about what position you're in now. You just have to think about getting the laps in, staying safe, and perhaps if you can save a bit of fuel and make some places up in the pit stop, it can make a huge difference. However, as you say, the Porsche is stronger in a straight line. This is a track where all of your overtakes will be done on straights, pretty much, unless you're very brave under braking. And I think there is a reason why we're seeing only one person driving not in a particular car. Now, I'll let the LMP2s off because it's not like they've got a choice, but I will be rooting for Colucci tonight because he's the only person that has decided to pick a different car.
Yeah, but he has got, and we've seen Sergio Carmo behind, you know, there. He has got Sergio Carmo behind him. He's actually, Sergio's behind the back of this pack. Sergio's generally quite quick, and we'd expect him to start making moves through the field. You know, your Carmo is in here as well. So we're going to have a look at the Bickley accident. I believe, as we said, that he was tucked right up the back of Blasco. So I'm wondering if it's got anything to do with Blasco involved with this Bickley accident. We'll see if we can bring you that shortly. Here we go. Oh no, he just on his own. That's going into Lacoum, I believe. And unfortunately there, Blasco didn't really have anywhere to go for him there, Chris.
No, it's a real shame. And that's ended his race, and he's venting already in YouTube. But of course, it's nice to see Stuart still watching the race, and hopefully we can see you next week have a more successful race. I think he's certainly owed a bit of luck, I believe.
Yeah, I know earlier on we saw him catching him in a chat with Richard Sidnar, who's not here this evening, who had a couple of bad races and decided not to register for this one. I know Stuart did back him up and say, yep, I agree with you. So obviously, Stewart's race has lasted only 5 minutes. We'll give him. And there you go. But as you can see, we've got Fabio Ali up the back of Colucci, trying to get past him as they go down into No Name Pouan. Here's that run. The thing is with the Corvette, though, Chris, it is generally a quick car, isn't it? We've seen it before, and it is a quick car. It just doesn't seem to be gelling well with Spa, which is a little bit strange, really.
It's quick, but the Porsche is quicker, and I think the thing with the Corvette is it's very easy to pick up, but it doesn't really have as high of a ceiling as the Porsche. So once you're familiar with the Porsche, the top drivers are probably going to be able to get a bit more raw pace out of it, which is why we see the Porsche GTE dominate the GTE field. Not necessarily the worst thing, because the Porsche is a beautiful car, but so is the Corvette, and as producer Sean will tell you, there's a lot to love from the other cars as well, in particular the Ford GT. So anyone listening, if you want a lot of airtime and praise, just drive the Ford GTE while you still can.
Yeah, Fabio Ali's just making a move into the bus stop there on Gustavo Colucci. He's got the job done. An incident behind Carmo there. Dear. I believe Carmo and Corvette have had a coming together. Sergio Carmo there kind of sent it up the inside, Chris. Where would you materialise the blame if you was the steward on that one?
Well, I didn't see the start of the incident, but certainly the end of the incident, you've got to wonder why on earth did he keep the throttle in? It didn't save him any time. It's ruined Gravet's race, and it's probably put a bit of damage on the front of Carmo's car, which means he's not going to have anywhere near as much top speed now.
Oh, we're kind of right on top of it.
At this point, why? I suppose it's not as egregious from the bonnet view as it looks from the initial view, but it's still just a case of you would stop, you'd think.
Yeah, I think that would be, yeah, I would look at trying to hit the brakes on that one. We see John Langan and Samantha Oops here. Car number 25, 27. The gap is only 0.39 seconds, but there is also another battle going on as well. We've got Luca Dingard is right up the back of Robert Edwards, so that's going to be an interesting one there. Here we go as we bring it to you like magic on screen. These guys are very close together, 0.4 seconds, Chris. Now Luca, from his eye, a sensible driver, around the 3.2k mark. Robert Edward 3.9. Oh, can we say that 700 difference is minimal when it comes to the LMP1s, Chris? I think because the LMP1s is such a difficult car to drive, you do have to put practice hours in, and these guys would have done that, wouldn't they? So can we sort of mitigate, should we say, the 700 IR difference?
Not entirely, but then we don't know if this IR was gained in the LMP1, so they might well be fantastic Formula 3 drivers and just dipping their toes into ESS, because we've not really seen either of these two in the broadcast split before. Of course, that doesn't mean they're not driving ESS, it just might mean they're finally available for prime time. And they're both driving very well at the moment. Edwards made up 4 positions from his start, so remember, he was the slowest qualifier of the ones who set times. And obviously he seems to have the race pace, and he is only actually 9 seconds behind Cowlarts 10 minutes into the race. So, this is all looking positive for both of them. But, if they can cooperate and get through this traffic and not be too silly, they're not within, they're not exactly that far away from at least the podium, if not even potentially fighting for the win.
Yeah, so we've seen Jim DeBacker. What has Jim been up to there? Because if he can run us through.
Oh, it's exactly how validating it is for us that Jim has just done exactly what we said people will do into the bus stop chicane and lose it, putting the power down too quickly halfway through the chicane. Expect to see that a few more times. Not been a great race for Jim, and this is what's happened to his brother Neil. And luckily, unlike at Watkins Glen last week, where some mirrors were not utilised, that GTE did look in its mirrors, saw the LMP1, got out of the way, and it means everyone can carry on racing. And that's sort of what we were getting at last week about how, yes, the GTEs don't have to get out of the way, but that's what happens when they don't.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. As I say, this is one of them discussions that we can bring up weekly, and we can have the debate for literally the next 49 minutes, could we? As we continually bring up the situation of overtaking, facilitating moves, using mirrors is a big thing. It's just the Jean-Luc Denayer there come very close to Neil DeBacker, but he's got Michael Gross up behind him for first and second. And this is the thing we talk about with the GTEs. They are in a battle. Chris, Denier and Gross are in a battle. They're not going to want to move over, but at the same time, it brings in this facilitating the overtake for the LMP1s and LMP2s.
Yep, and as we see, that's quite late lunge there. But again, you know, the LMP1s don't want to lose out on track time. I don't know, it's easy for us to sit up here and criticise. We're not the ones in the cockpit trying to race our socks off for the win. And it's always going to be the tricky part of sprint racing. I mean, if you know, for the Daytona 24 hours, I would be extremely cross in a GTE if any prototype. Well, I'd be extremely cross if I was in a GTE and I was at Daytona, to be honest, because they're not racing. But if I'm in a GT3 and an LMP2 cuts me off, then I'm going to be extremely cross because they've got 24 hours to make up time. The odd aggressive lunge is helping no one. But these races are only an hour long. The pit strategy isn't going to affect it quite so much. So I can understand why it happens, but it's a huge frustration when it does. And the fact we see it even at this top level in this broadcast split just shows you how difficult it is to drive quickly and safely. Because I can drive safely, but I can't drive quickly. So again, easy for me to sit up here and criticise.
I think that's the thing. It is looking at what you've got available to you. You know, these drivers have only got an hour, 47 minutes. If you've had a bad qualifying or you've had something happen in turn one, like we've seen, you know, they're going to be pushing to be aggressive. And if they've caught, as we see there, Blasco have a little bit of a tank slapper there. We managed to keep hold of it. And Samantha Oops is right up behind him coming into La Source. I reckon this is going to materialise down through El Rouge and Radion. Let's see if we can stay with this one to see if Samantha can get the job done. But Chris, I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't say I was aggressive, but I wouldn't say I was passive either. I think I'm one of these people that make it known that I'm there in an LMP2 and hoping, fingers crossed, toes crossed, elbows crossed, the GTEs or GT3s will facilitate that pass. But as we see Samantha Oops on the outside, Blasco on the inside running into Lacombe. Samantha gets the job done there, Chris. Nice straightforward overtake in the position that we thought going into Lacombe.
A nice tidy overtake, and we saw earlier cars trying it around the outside. I mean, your default is think I'll go on the inside, but the chicane there, it's one of those odd ones where because you switch back so much as you go through the chicane and then into the next corner, sometimes taking the outside line is actually easier because you can just, like we were saying earlier, you can brake a little bit later, gives you a bit more control around the outside. We saw Jus Baumeister earlier, he was braver on the inside with his braking, and that's where the practice can really pay off. But I think Blasco just being sensible there and just letting Oops through, who seems to have the pace advantage.
Yeah, we had Luca Dingard as he's coming round the back end of Blanchimont. He's disappearing from me there, Chris. What's happening?
That's a very... and a slight tag. And hopefully that's it in terms of contact. Although, yeah, I think Thinkard is just wait. Oh dear, he's had to wait for everyone to go round. That's very frustrating when it's you that's done that. I did that in the Jeans Bowl F3 as broadcast by TSS on a Tuesday evening, and I did that on Tuesday. And it is very frustrating when you're just sitting there waiting for everyone to go past. But the alternative is killing someone, which is not what we want to see.
Yeah, definitely not. So we've got Regis Lotin and Ali. They're coming down fighting, going round Rivage, heading down into No Name. These guys are very close together. I love to see racing like this, Chris, but I also, if I'm racing like this, I do get very scared, not only for me, but for the driver in front of me. Now, when you're racing so close and you're talking 0.35 of a second gap, if that driver in front outbrakes himself, doesn't brake hard enough or spins the back end when you're only 0.3 seconds, you don't have time to react. And it could be a race-ending collision. Yeah, Baumeister coming in, Samantha Oops runs wide, Oops goes in too deep, runs wide, keeps it on track though. So fair play. Close all the way up, 3 seconds onto Jus Baumeister. And we've still got Blasco in the mix as well as they head down Rivage into No Name. Now, made up 3 seconds. Definitely no slouch. I think it's the first time that we've seen that in the broadcast split Chris. I don't think we've seen her this season or last season doing a stellar job. 0.48 seconds, up 5 positions, 7th in class. You know,
Yeah,
what more could she ask for?
Yeah, I wonder if this is perhaps a different setup philosophy for Oops, because, she's just sort of trundling along at the back for the first 10 minutes, and it seems that the car has come absolutely alive. She's lapping at the same pace as the leaders, pretty much, which is nothing to sniff at, really, because, Munoz and Hayden are pretty quick drivers, and, they've made a bit of a gap for themselves. They're 7 seconds clear of Burke in fourth. And no, more than that, sorry. They're about 15 seconds, and it's going to be another attempt here into the bus stop, I suspect, James.
Yeah, Samantha behind. Hughes Baumeister coming into the bus stop. Hughes doesn't give he gives a room, but it's in that V of death, isn't it? Where you kind of don't really want that V entrance where you're leaving that V gap almost for the person behind to take a lunge and take a dive. So the door was definitely open, but Samantha sensibly doesn't take it. Now, I wouldn't have taken it either. I would be looking at this run down to up through down into Kemmel. As Pablo Nunez and Timo Hayden now. Timo is behind. He's taken that outside line we've discussed into Les Source. Are they going to leave room? They are, side by side, going down into the next right-hander, running on the run down to Rivage. Pablo Nunez keeps the lead from Timo Hayden. Absolutely stellar job, Chris. And I've been in that situation loads of times where I've been out on the outside. Samantha goes up the inside at this time, and Eustace has nothing to say, nothing to defend. She goes through, job done, but we have got an LMP1 on the back who's looking to try and get past Blasco. And John Langan there as well. There's the LMP1. That's Simon Cowlot's coming through. These guys have got to be looking in their mirrors now. You definitely don't want to take out an LMP1, but I think Simon, Chris, too smart, quite patient, got a nice gap, doesn't have to jeopardise his race to try and get past these LMP2s.
Yeah, we've seen him do this before. Cowlarts does have that knack for finding the gaps through the traffic, and it's where he builds up these leads. He's 5 seconds clear of DeBacker at the moment, and again, we know DeBacker is quick, and Daniele Pizzo in third, we know is rapid as well. So, it's showing you just how good Cowlarts is. I think we need to sort of, again, just point out just how good that Samantha Oops overtake was, because we've already seen how confident Baumeister is on the brakes into the chicane there. And for Oops to be able to go around that confidently really shows you how to grips with the car is. That smoke, however, is a bit scary. Somebody has had an off-track somewhere.
Yeah, I can't see anything in the background of nobody sitting there. I believe we've got Regis Lotin coming down into the bus stop. Just lost the place to Gerber, and then...
Oh, that's an odd one.
That's a bit of a weird one, but it does happen when you hit the curb. So we'll have to see if that is his race over. Oh, that's definitely a bit of an odd one there. We used Baumeister, I believe. Oh, that was definitely not a good one. Alexander Gerber in 9th place. Has got Luca Thingard in 8th. These guys are both coming back through. That definitely looked like a bit of an odd one with that GTE and used Baumeister there. So that would be an interesting one if we can see what happened coming up through. I believe it was coming into the Radion section. But there is Use there. He's still running behind Samantha Oops. He's still got Blasco behind him. John Langan is behind that. And Yanis Menglin, Dylan Freckleton, unusually at the back of the field. We're just going to see now. We're just replaying the start of the last lap to see if we can see what happened to Use there. It looked like he was coming into the side of a GTE on the way through, I believe. But there's nothing there at the moment. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know. Maybe it was previous lap. We'll see what we can do. See if we can have a find of it. But here is Use now, still out the back of Samantha, with Blasco not too far behind. We're going to drop down to Michael Gross and Jean-Luc Denaya as they head down into the bus stop. We've got Denaya in front, Gross behind him. Again, Chris, I swear, I get heart palpitations when I see cars racing like this. I so worry, but then again, maybe that's my driver mentality. I would have, probably backed off a little bit now and waited for the run-up El Rouge and Radion, Chris. It just really panics me when people are this close together.
I think, again, that's one of the things, because, James, you're a pretty good driver yourself, but, this is a lot of traffic.
Not though, this is Hughes Baumeister, I believe's in there, John Langan, Blasco's in there, and the LMP1. Oh, that is gone. What has happened to Hughes? He kind of... He's lost 4 places in about 2 or 3 laps there, Chris. He was making strides forward. He was right up. It got done by Samantha Oops in 6th, and then he's just kind of gone down the field a little bit. Is this panic that we're seeing from Oops that that we haven't seen before? Has he got damage from that GTE collision that we caught at the top end there just before we flicked over? Bit of a weird one, Chris.
It is, but as we were saying earlier, often when you lose one place, another one follows. This is working out very nicely for Samantha Oops, though, who wasn't really able to get out of the draft range, but now pretty much has, as it looks like we might be able to see the incident now.
That's also, so that's Pizzo.
Yeah, that's a fair old hit on the wall. That will have affected the top speed for sure. And that's just... You're talking about the vortex of danger. That's pretty much exactly what happens when a car goes into it. So that's a real shame for you, because that's going to hugely affect the race.
Yeah, that was car number 6. That was Daniele Pizzo. Not something we conventionally see from Pizzo. You know, he's not one that we continually talk about each Thursday, Chris, is it, for causing accidents and being in incidents. So, but here we go, 3 wide with the LMP2s. Yannis Mengling. Oh!
Yeah.
Yannis Mengling, John Lanham. That is not a way to go 4 cars into the entrance to Lacoon there, Chris, does it?
Yeah, and poor Mengling was pretty much a passenger there. It's somebody needed to back out, but it's difficult to get testosterone-filled racing drivers to be the one to back out, and that's the unfortunate result of that. We've also lost Dylan Freckleton by the looks of it, so it's a fair amount of casualties. We might be able to go and have a look at the Freckleton incident if we can see that in a second.
Yeah, he was running at the back of the field. So it'd be interesting to see, is he coming into Lacoon? Well, he doesn't really go into Lacoon. Bit of a shortcut for Dylan. Down through the exit right hand on Lacoon. I think he's possibly looked like he might have gave it up after that one, Chris. It looked like a bit of a different line, should we say. Let's give him credit.
Yeah, that's his race done, unfortunately. And so we're seeing another battle here. So it's coming true what we're saying about fierce battles within each class. And I think partially what's going to help there is they've got less traffic to worry about on a bigger circuit as well, as we see the prototype getting a little bit stuck through the chicane and losing a bit of time.
Now, the interesting thing is, Chris, if you look at these 2 LMPs, that's Paolo Munez and Timo Hayden. Paolo has cleared this traffic and has opened up a 2.5 second gap over Timo. There they are at the top of the screen. So obviously Paolo handled these 2 GTEs, the battling GTEs, a lot better than Timo did, and now it's showing in Paolo's way. He's 2.5 seconds down the road. That's the thing when we talk about traffic management. As you can see, we're going to wait for this LMP1 to patiently go through. I believe that's Daniele Pizzo, car number 6, I believe. So, it's that traffic handling that's got to be key when you're going past 2 attacking GTEs, because it doesn't take much, as we saw with Gustavo Meester and Daniele Pizzo, to get it wrong.
Yep, and sprint race multi-class traffic mapping is a very specific skill. It's different to what we're going to see in the Daytona 24. Because again, like we were saying earlier, you don't want to take insane risks in a 24-hour race, but this is only 1 hour. So you kind of do, but really what you're doing, so this is where Simon Cowlarts will be so good. You're looking ahead sort of 5-10 seconds up the road just to think, right, where am I going to catch that car? Do I need to back off now and save fuel so that I'll catch them on a straight, or do I need to try and push a bit harder, use my boost? And Samantha Roos, it looks like, has got Fabio Bassetti now in her sights.
Yeah,
it's been a very strong race so far.
Yeah, definitely moving up through the field. Anybody where we can look and say, well, they're up 6 positions in the top split has been an absolute barnstorming drive. Now, we've seen this, and this seems to be the favoured position for Samantha, going down Elruz, up through Radion and down onto the Camel. Are we going to see it again on Fabio Bassetti? Let's see what happens as they run down the hill. Coming up now, there they go, start going off into Al Rouge. Down round Radion we go, and we're going to hit the Camel straight about now. Here we go. On the left, on the right-hand side is Fabio Bassetti. Are we going to hold it all the way around the outside? Done it. We've seen this, once or twice. And again, job done for Samantha Oops. Nick Burke in a sight, only 1.8 seconds down the road. 7 positions gained. Top split ESS. Amazing driving.
been fantastic so far, and also worth pointing out is that Oops has got the joint fastest top speed recorded by an LMP2 of 301 kilometers an hour. So she's doing that on a low downforce setup. So getting that control around the corners, that's all driver skill. That's not the downforce doing it for her. So that's also probably why these overtakes are being done so quickly, because she's got that top speed advantage. And Nick Burke is in one of the slower LMP2s, so this might be a reasonably simple overtake for Oops, although I really hope I haven't jinxed it.
Yeah, let's see what happens when Oops gets onto the back of Nick there to see if they get the job done. It's 1.8 seconds. I'll keep an eye on it as we go along. There you go. Got to clear Carmo in the GTE first before we should see. There you go. That's Carmo in, gone through. There's Fabio Bassetti, who we've just gone past, going into Lacombe, and here is on board now. Now that two battling cars up front, I'm going to be guessing is Jean-Luc Denayer and Michael Gross, and that LMP in front is, I'm going to put it as Nick Burke. So here we go. There you go. There's the move out from the two GTE cars. He's allowed it to come through. Is it going to get the luck? I'll keep seeing if we can see up into La Source. They can. Samantha can't clear them going into La Source, but now got a little bit of a tow going down the hill. Hoping, I would say, from her point of view, really wants to get that job done before we start going back up the hill. But we're on board with Englick and Luke Santos in the LMP1, 0.42 seconds. We've got car number 2, that's Paulo Muniz. That is the leader of the LMP2s in out front. Got to be looking at making the move, I would say, to facilitate the overtake. But there you go. There is Gross and Denayer just being overtaken by car number 21, which is Bassetti and Samantha Oops. Probably wishing she could have done that on the base of the hill, Chris, on that run up to Radion and into Lacombe.
Yep, that's true, but oh god, I just get so stressed out every time traffic appears here. But, and again, I'm sorry to go on a tangent there, but it's one of those things where the LMP2s, because they don't have that much of a speed advantage over the GTEs, it's so difficult for them to get around, and we're just seeing there, yeah, another close call, and we don't want this battle to be interfered with too much. But, you know, the LMP2 doesn't really have many other options here, because they're not quick enough to get around both, and they're now going to lose it and potentially lose out to go. I don't think they're in a battle, and they've just decided to leave it, which I like to see, because it means we're going to have more of a Denayer Gross battle going on. These two haven't been separated at all.
I wonder, do you know who that is? That's Yannick Menglin. We saw Yannick Menglin and John Langan come down together coming into Lacombe, sorry. So I wonder if Yannis is really picked up some damage, because that speed in that car, it doesn't even sound relatively healthy, does it?
This is his first lap out on the pit lane, so I think he's just taking. I think he's conscious that this is the lead battle in GTE. He knows he's not necessarily racing anyone, although Dylan Freckleton is only 24 seconds up the road. But I think Yannis is just being one of the very, very sensible, nice drivers to get. Although I say that this is maybe not the place to go for it if you aren't sure. And yeah, he's trying not to interfere with this battle too much. Although I guess he wouldn't know. That is interfering with the battle, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so let's hope he's got more top speed now. This is probably not going to badly affect Gross. Although it does seem to have dropped off quite a lot now, because in theory, Denayer's also going to get held up slightly coming into the chicane.
It's a better passing position, though, for Menglin. And on the Bayern, the Benz of Menglin is literally going, it doesn't look like Chris is going a lot faster than that GTE. You know, if they're both pushing 175 mile an hour, it doesn't look like Menglin's going a lot quicker. Now, that's from my personal point of view. I'm hoping now Yannis can just get on, you know, get up the road, get the job done. But we've still got the Denayer Gross battle close together, so not too much interference, but not the best way of clearing them.
I'm glad I was proved right by the fact that these two had stayed together, so we can probably go through the order now, James. I can do that if you'd like. And there, so LMP1, so we've got Simon Cowlot's doing his usual thing of just flying out away in the lead. He started on pole, he's stayed in the lead, he's 12 seconds clear of Neil de Backer in second. Don't want to jinx him, but it's looking pretty good for him so far. As we say, Neil de Backer is in second. He's got a healthy gap back to Daniele Pizzo. He is about 4 seconds clear. And then Pizzo himself has got a 3-second gap back to Roberto Eduard in 4th. Then we got our next battle, which is Englicht and Santos in 5th and 6th. They are the only two in the LMP1 field currently fighting. They're within 0.3 of a second each other. Jim De Backer on his recovery drive after the first lap shenanigans. He is in 7th. Not too far behind him, Luther Thingard, who, as he's typed in the actual client itself, all of his screens shut off. So that's why he's had issues, and that's why he's down in 8th. And then Alexander Gerber, who's had a very eventful race, is nearly a lap down now. Cowlarts is, there we are, just going around him now. He is the back of the field for the LMP1s. And then LMP2, sort of the standard pattern we get in the other fields, which is where we've got two people fighting, although Munoz has got a 2-second lead now over Hayden. Again, these two and Dave Lloyd in 3rd. They have stayed in the positions they're in. Dave Lloyd kind of having a very lonely race at the moment, 13 seconds behind Hayden and 9 seconds clear of Burke in 4th. Burke is going to have some defending to do in a few laps because he has got the high-flying Samantha Oops behind him in 5th. Samantha started in 12th, and that was back of the LMP2 field. She's now up to 5th, and 4th is well within her sights, so keep an eye on Samantha as we keep racing. Fabio Bissetti, he is in 6th, and it's just sort of, quietly now at the back of this group LMP2s, another one worth keeping an eye out on. And then 7th place is Baumeister. He is the next of our cars. He is the first car that's been involved in shenanigans, so 7th is not too bad considering. And then behind that, we've got a battle of Blasco and Langen. They are going too wide, and I believe Blasco's just made the overtake on Langen, although possibly a switchback here. We can go back to this perhaps in a minute. We've also got Dylan Freckleton and Janice Mengling are still driving, but they are 2 laps down. We saw Mengling earlier seemingly struggling with a bit of damage, and Stuart Bickley didn't make it more than 0.3 of a lap round, unfortunately. That's our LMP2 field. GTE, we've got the battle of Jean-Luc Denayer and Michael Gross. These two are still in the positions they started. And it looks like they're going to be together for the entire race. They've got a 5-second gap back to Sebastian Uber. Sorry, he was the pole sitter, so he's dropped 2 places, but still within touching distance, only 5 seconds behind the lead. And he's got a bit of clear air himself because Jorge Carmo is 2 seconds down the road in 4th and has got Davide Trocoli for company behind him in 5th. Following him, we've got Fabian Alex having a relatively quiet race so far, and then Sergio Carmo a bit further down the road. Gustavo Colucci, our only driver not in a Porsche in the GTE field, is in 8th. And we have lost Regis Lotin and Wallerand Greve. So Colucci is actually bringing up the rear of our GTE field currently, and not a particularly clean looking Corvette either. And that's our current running order, James.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Chris. That Corvette has looked like it's, hit something. Let's be real. Colucci there, the only Corvette in the field, not looking too comfortable with his front end. Looking a little bit damaged, but these guys are not damaged. Jean-Luc Denayer. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, let's have a look at this battle while James dies in the background. But this is sort of the trouble with multiclass racing. There is perhaps Gross was thinking of a move, but there's a prototype coming through. If he'd gone for the move, that would have been his race over, and potentially might still well be, because the number seven there, trying to sneak through, did manage to get through and has taken them both through now. That's Simon Cowlarts. But again, this is what we were saying earlier. Cowlarts is a master of making those overtakes and costing himself the minimum amount of time. However, he is being kept reasonably honest by Neil De Backer still, who is... De Backer is 11 seconds down the road. I was looking at the wrong interval. And 11 seconds is not a guaranteed win, though. We've still got 25 minutes left. Simon Cowlarts, very quick. Neil De Backer, also very quick. Although I'd say the one thing really in Cowlarts' favour here is Daniele Pizzo in 3rd. He's only 4 seconds down the road. And we know the kind of pace Pizzo can have. De Backer isn't clear himself. So do look out, because we're still going to have, I think, some excellent battles within the LMP1 field. And yeah, we're just about to hit the pit window, I reckon, as well. Okay, James, you are back, yeah.
Yeah, I am. I do apologise for that. Just unfortunately...
You survived.
I've survived, yes. Went to take a drink and it went down the wrong hole. Next to as we've all been there before. I was coughing and crying at the same time. But there we go. We do have Jean-Luc Denayer and Michael Gross coming down into the bus stop section. These guys have been incredible close throughout the race. They've been like this all the way through, Chris. this is where we come into this pit stop strategy. We've talked about this loads of times. If you were Gross, would you dive in and go for the undercut? Or would you look at just going in when Denier does, hopefully to get him out on the outside? Because I always kind of look to try and jump and make some positions. Obviously, I'm carrying a track map round on screen, so I can see where the gaps are. What do you do, Chris? Do you try and jump in the pits, or do you kind of just go in with the person in front?
I'm absolutely obsessed with funky pit strategies. I'm more satisfied by a successful undercut than I am by an overtake on track. That might have something to do with my lack of overtaking ability, but that's neither here nor there. Despite being reasonably good at undercuts, I don't really understand why they work, because in my head, you know, you're lapping the same as you would if you'd gone out. Like, your lap times will be the same. I just trust the process and it works. Yeah, as we see a bit of traffic there for Gross, so maybe if he'd pitted on this lap and had a bit of clear air, could have made the jump. Some drivers prefer to just match the person in front and just trust that they can do it on the track. It's a difficult decision to make. It just really depends on what your skill set is. Some drivers are better in close contact, better at making the overtakes. Other drivers are better at putting hot laps in with clear air. So I guess it depends on the individual driver, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 of the LMP2s in the pits. Muniz went in, Hayden's followed, Lloyd's got in, Burke's got in, Oops has got in, Baumeister hasn't, but he did go in earlier on, so obviously he's a long way round. There is Just in front of us, so he's a long way around the circuit to really make any kind of difference on these guys, but this is the one. Timo Hayden looks like he's got the jump there, because on Paulo Muniz coming out of the pits. Now, there was that gap initially. Paulo cleared the traffic, managed to open up a 2.5 second lead, but Timo seems to have got the job done and cleared it.
Yep, so Hayden was stopped for half a second less than Munoz, but the real difference was in the overall pit time. So, so we're just seeing a battle now, so pit strategy for nothing.
Yeah, they're coming down. Paulo's made the move on Timo Hayden, going down into La Source. As we flick there and we come back to them, these guys are still fighting. Paulo Muniz, Timo Hayden, been together for the whole entire race distance, just like Denier and Gross has been as well. And obviously Carlos has been out on his own for pretty much the whole of this race. But these guys are battling 21 minutes. Now, I'm not expecting top split ESS to be looking at now waiting until that last lap. We know the tow down Blanchimont, down Kemmel does the job, but this is Samantha Oops and Nick Burke. Now Samantha's closed right up again. I think it was like 1.1 seconds there, Chris. Nick's looking kind of a bit of a sitting duck with the charge in Samantha Oops this evening.
Yes, although he may well not know just how much of a charge Oops has put through. But she looks so much more confident going through Rivage. Just the amount of confidence she has in that car at the moment, it really is impressive. It's really enjoyable to watch. But I just want to say a word for Munoz. That's a real alpha move to just, lose that lead in the pit stops, not panic, and just immediately take the move at the next passing opportunity. I think that's really stamping your authority on a race. It's what we really like to see. But hopefully that battle can continue.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though, because that long run, this is what I was going to say before we went to the Oops battle, that long run is almost worth holding any overtake if you were Timo Hayden until the last lap. But it's that chance of what happens in the next 20 minutes before you get to that last lap could jeopardise your race. As we see LMP1 Simon Cowlotz go into the pits. But do you get what I mean? It's that kind of waiting. It's kind of like being at Daytona. You kind of wait till you go through the bus stop before you make the move going into the last, the last part of it, like, to get the tow. I wouldn't want to take that chance if I was Timo Hayden. I'd be looking at trying to get the job done. But I'm also going to put money on that we're going to see Samantha Oops make the move and Nick Burke up the favourite place going down into Lacoon. While we look at Gross and Denier there, Chris.
Yeah, and I think Gross yet again has had a potential passing opportunity scuppered by the fact that there was a passing prototype behind them. He did look like he wanted to make the move there, but realised the car was coming and did the sensible thing. And we've got a couple of LMP1s exiting the pit lane, so he's about to have even more interference coming up into the next best overtaking opportunity. So Gross is someone who is going to have to remain patient. But I think most of these drivers are going to have to. They're going to trust in their pace. They'll make the overtake when they get the opportunity to. They would. I don't think they would ever pass up an opportunity thinking I'll get re-overtaken in a lap's time, because I don't think you can work off of those maybes. You need to be confident and commit to your lines and commit to your overtakes. And look, more traffic.
It's going to happen again. For poor old Michael Gross, he's going to look
he's
at
so close as well.
He can't go anywhere, can he? He's just stuck. The LMP1's coming past him at such an unreasonable time. Well, not an unreasonable time, an unfortunate time. Let's choose my words there. It's going to happen again. Just stay to the left, let them go through, try and lose as little time as possible. Coming down into Ravage. Now we've seen with Samantha Hoops is literally 0.48 seconds back from Nick Burke. That is very close. That's one of the DeBackers. What the number? Car number 9, I believe. That's Jim, the recovering Jim DeBacker after his first lap spin in La Source. There's Munez. Timo Hayden's got the job done back through, but Munez has got the run-up Blanchiment. And this is what we were talking about. You know, you don't want to wait, but this is how Timo did it, didn't he, Chris?
And saying about how everyone is doing it on the exit of that corner, but we've seen someone do it sort of on the entry on the brakes. But the LMP2 is a very difficult car to get slowed down quickly. I mean, you can do it all right, as we're seeing another move here.
Yeah, Paulo Munez, Timo Hayden going into Lacombe. Round the outside, these guys have left room. They were two side by side before, too wide. Sorry, couldn't get my words out. Too wide before, and they managed to get through. They've got through again. I think, you know, what you're looking at is if you could search it in the dictionary for ideal driving in the LMP2s, you would probably find Paulo Munez and Timo Hayden, because they are really putting a show on, and they are really pushing.
Spa really brings out the best in the LMP2 teams. Remember, we had that absolutely incredible three-way battle last season in the LMP2s, and that was only for about 4th or 5th. And this time we're being spoiled. It's a big battle for the lead, and then we've got Oops's charge through the field as well. There's a reason why all racing drivers seem to absolutely love Spa. It just brings the best out in cars.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And I think if Daytona 24 wasn't on, I think we would have seen an amazing top split at Spa this week. But, you know,
we're still seeing a top ESS race here this week.
I know what you mean. But you know what? Don't turn it around on me, make me look bad by saying.
Well, we've got to promote our own products.
You know, I respect every.
I know what you meant. Yeah.
You've all turned it around. Well, you're in Daytona, aren't you?
No, I'm going to a wedding.
Oh, right, go. Cut him off. Yeah. That's it. If you're not in Daytona 2024, get out.
We're ignoring a really good battle here, and another really good battle. So we've not really thought about the Uber battle here. It's it sort of snuck up on us a bit, really, hasn't it? Gross and Uber, they weren't this close together before.
Yeah, they were never this close. How did Gross end up 3 seconds back? They've just come out of the pits. They've just come out of the pits. Benaya, that's come out. But here we go, Samantha. Oh, that was a late move by Dave Lloyd. We're looking at the, Nick Burke being the most aggressive defender in the whole of the race at the moment. With this is, but this is Samantha's opportunity. See her closing. Oh, she closed definitely a bit too much there. Here we go. Got to tuck back in and try and have another go. That was just unfortunate there, because I think that was just a different exit. Got the draft, got so close to Nick Burke, and just unfortunately could kind of had to probably ease off to stop them both going off into a ceremoniously accident.
I think Samantha was looking for the inside line and just had a little bit of a better run. I mean, I'm noticing here around P1 again, she takes a much tighter line than everyone else seems to around there, which to me, that strikes, because she's not exactly losing time through the corner. She's a lot more comfortable going around that corner. And yeah, it's interesting to see the charge through, but Samantha seemed to want the inside line, yeah. And I think she's going to have to do the outside next time round if she wants to get that move done, because Nick is defending very strongly, as you mentioned.
I think that's it. Nick Burke is definitely defending very strong. You know, you want to, it's a difficult one with the LMP1s coming through, you know, because you want to get them out the way. but you don't want to be losing time to the car in front. But he's also got to get out of the way. But the difference is Nick Burke's lost it under, let him pass at full throttle, Chris. Samantha was unfortunately 2 corners back at 14 and had to let off the gas, where Nick Burke has managed to keep that position purely because he didn't have to let off the gas, did he? The LMP1 made it easy for him.
Yep, they definitely did, and sometimes that's the strategy you have to do. There is just live to fight another day.
Well, Samantha's definitely going to fight another day on Nick Burke, as we see this run before. Dropped out to 0.93, just hit that second mark. Toes round about 1.2. You start picking it up just really strong under the second. So we're expecting Samantha Oops to start making a move in. It's about with 1.06, so probably when we hit the top over the hill, going down Camel, we might see it start closing. I don't think it's close enough this lap though, Chris, but I'm not saying never with 13 and a half minutes remaining.
No, it's still plenty of time for things to happen. I mean, again, not to curse him, but Simon Cowlotz could get punted off. He could lose the massive lead he's acquired. I mean, you see there, that's quite close to the number 14. Easily could have gone wrong with Sebastian Huber. Netcode can happen, disconnect can happen. We've seen it already in the again in the Cheats Bowl F3 League at Monza. We had our race leader disconnect literally 3 seconds from the line. So the race,
saw that.
We've seen it in F1 in real life. Kimi Räikkönen with mechanical disruptions. Stuff goes wrong. This is in LMP2.
So this is Dave Lloyd going down into Rivage. We've got the LMP1 behind. Don't quite make out. Is that Pizzo again?
Bit more vortex of danger.
Yeah, but that's Pizzo again. Chris, what is that? I'm not used to Daniele Pizzo driving in that aggressive manner that we're seeing tonight, because that's Eustace gone off due to being dived at here, and Dave Lloyd now as well. It's just, look, there's no gap there.
And one thing I think we did pick up when we were on the sort of the helicopter cam versus on board, he even sort of positioned his car to shut that door to say, look, don't overtake there, wait. And still he goes through the lunge. And I can appreciate the adrenaline means you make some rash decisions, but it's not as though, he's lost more time from that damage than he would have gained from making an overtake, which is why you don't, make sensible risks. Oh, this is...
Luke Santos. English on the right-hand side of your screen. We're in that vortex. There you go again. It looked like Santos went in deep. It's a Hamilton Verstappen at Brazil. Luke Santos has gone in, and he almost looked like he overran that car. But we're going to see what Jim DeBack can go and do now. We're on the nose. Coming up to the back end of Luke Santos, picking up the toe. We want that inside line. We don't get the inside line, so we can try the outside. Jim DeBacco on the outside. Luke Santos, is he going to run him short? He's not, but is he going to send it out the inside next right-hander? He does. That's Luke Santos keeping the car ahead of Jim DeBacco, going down into Rivage. We drop down the hill, hard on the brakes, round the right-hander. And off we run now, going round No Name. Momentarily, there we go, flick down a No Name. That could have gone a lot worse, but we have got a GTE in the mix of this battle with Jim DeBacco and Luke Santos. Chris, they made it through safely. That's kind of all that matters.
Yep, that's the main thing. And going back to that push-off round the source, I think Michael Massey's going to be grateful he's not part of the iRacing protest team, because I think he's had enough of those kind of incidents. It was quite a cynical lunge down the inside. It didn't seem like much of an intent to actually get the car stopped in time.
This is the Blasco-Langen pass there, Chris. I believe is that come down into Lacombe.
And that's a retiring Gustavo Colucci in the background as well.
Is that Colucci, the damaged Corvette? But
yeah, it was.
Blasco's got back through. We're jumping back on board. Paolo Munez, Timo Hayden. Here we go. On the run down the hill. Take the curve, sweep the car into a right-hander, hold it up the top. Timo, you've got to get out. You don't want to get this done too early, going down Camel. There you go.
Oh, nearly touching.
Oh, no. Jim DeBacco's in the middle. 3 wide. Jim DeBacco. Oh, that was... Oh, I don't know what is going on. Has everybody got Daytona 24 blues tonight, Chris? Because I'm not quite sure what Jim was up to there, but he managed to get through the middle of these guys, interrupting the Munez-Hayden battle as they go down into the Rivage. I think this is going to be another lap. I'd be surprised if the move's made anywhere on track now. apart from the last you split down Francorchamps. Was that the car number 9 in front?
I think so. I think looking at the traffic management tonight, good luck to everyone in the first split of Daytona 24 tomorrow, because this is not looking promising. It's been a bit spicy round a track that I wouldn't say is particularly tricky to manage traffic on, especially when there's only about 27 cars running.
Oh, car number 16! Oh, that is...
And that's why you hold the brakes as well.
David Ciccoli, it'd be interesting to see if we get another look at that, just to see what happened, but that's poor Luke Santos' race over and out. Good night, sir. Unlucky for you. That would be why Jim DeBacca managed to get past him, Chris. We didn't actually see it. Partly due to, obviously, that incident there as they headed into the bus stop. But Crowley held your brakes, Chris, do you reckon?
It's difficult. I think he was trying to get out of the way, but this is why we say hold the brakes, because it's the most predictable thing you can do. And I appreciate the sentiment was right in terms of making sure that you were out of the way.
Yes.
But I tell you what, looking at the LMP1 timing tower, someone we've not really mentioned today but is having a good race, Roberto Eduard, is up 5 places and is into third for a podium, and he's got not a huge amount of gap back to Pizzo, but Pizzo's probably got damage, and this is what happens to Ciccoli. Too much speed through the corner. He's tried to get out of their way, but they were too close.
Look at the flip over. You can't, I would say from Ciccoli's point of view, he's tried to run back expecting the guys to take the normal racing line, which is on that inside, isn't it? You know, if he goes back, they take the inside line and he gets through. It looks to me, and I'm just putting it out there, Chris, it looked like he ran back to get off that line. And it was expected Luke Santos and Jim DeBacca to come through the inside.
He was probably doing the right thing, but...
Yeah. Look, Samantha Oops is going to get Lloyd as well. Lloyd looks like, Lloyd's damage is slowing him down from Pizzo earlier on. Samantha Oops is now going to go on the outside, and Nick Berg's running down into Lacombe. Samantha Oops is going to make this 9 positions now. Job done, same place as always. Looks confident going into Lacombe, I've got to be honest. Is definitely looking confident. But then again, Nick Berg is looking to come back onto the Rivage. I don't think the move is going to materialise as they come down into No Name. Job done for Samantha Oops. Now look at using that GTE car to the best of your ability. That is Carmo. Take the inside. There you go, job done. I think there's going to be another place now. Obviously, Timo Hayden, Paulo Nunez, a bit further down the line. But
if they have an incident, if they crash into each other and retire each other, then that's a win for Samantha. And I must say, Samantha is doing a lot better than I was 1 month into my iRacing journey. It's a real talent.
Yeah, definitely on that one. Double Delta in chat. I miss James Stillsal. I can't race anymore, really. Oh no, David Duino. David Dino Nugget Duino is in chat. There, Chris, you should remember that as we had an interesting conversation. I believe it was with yourself about Dino Nuggets. I think it was at one of the ISRC events that we were talking about.
Yeah, well, you know, it's important to get to know your drivers and what shape of chicken nuggets they like. It's important technical information.
Yes, favourite thing of all time, Dino Nuggets from David Duino. Welcome in, young sir. Thank you very much for joining us this evening as we see Timo Hayden, Paulo Nunez going at it again. Oh, that was a late move. That was definitely a late move from Paulo Nunez there, but he gets on the gas a little bit earlier, spins the back end. Here is Timo Hayden down into Rivage, still going to be following. I don't know, Chris, 5 minutes remaining. I cannot see this kid battle going anywhere until the final lap.
Yep, and it's going to be very close as to whether or not we have 3 more laps or just 2, I think. Or I'm trying to get my calculations right. Simon Cowlart's just about to come. He's coming near to, coming to the bus stop. We've got, as you can see, 5 minutes 30 left. He's lapping at around 1:52, so I think it is going to be 3 laps. If he'd gone a little bit quicker, we could have maybe squeezed a 4th in, which would have been very interesting for people's fuel strategies and in the other classes. But I think 3 laps is probably what we're looking at, unless he finds a shortcut. Oh, there's a car going the wrong way there. I think that's John Langan, I think. He's dropping down the order.
Samantha Oops gets... No!
That's not the line.
No, that's not a line. You can't park there. Oh, all that work. all that hard work done, Chris, with 5 minutes remaining.
And I think they've given up.
Yeah.
Well, they're moving again now. Yeah, that's well. I think the important thing is you got the screen time. We saw the overtakes. That's what really matters, isn't it? No
Chris,
one needs to win. You want the screen time.
Chris, you want to smack sponsors all over your cars and get on the TSS broadcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry about where you finish. Just put on a show. Chris has 6 positions. Dominic Englick here. I believe this is one of Jim DeBacker going down into Blanchimont. These guys, that's job done there for Dominic Englick. Finished off. You lost 6 positions, Chris. 6 positions gone. All
Yeah, it's a real shame.
57 minutes, 56 minutes, and you lose 6 in one mistake.
Still up 3 from the starting position, so it's still a good race if you're ignoring all context. Retain a positive mindset. This battle, I think, is going to go down to the wire, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this one here, Paolo Muniz and Timo Hayden, is going to go right the way down. I think this is going to be last laps. I've got to be honest. I think Timo is sat there enough now that he's going to be making a move. He's got to, however, stay within the draft. So as we see Simon Cowlot's coming around for the penultimate lap. So this one and one more, and then we're going to be on the white flag, and it's going to be done. Michael Gross and Sebastian Uber. Gross has lost a lot of time. He lost a lot of time. I believe that's around the pit stops, wasn't it? Because he managed to lose that time onto denial.
Yep, it wasn't even that much of a slower stop. He was 8/10 slower on the actual stop, but he was about 3 seconds slower on the overall pit stop time. So I wonder if he perhaps overshot his grid slot. That's the most common thing we see with that kind of mistake, although Spa's pit entrance is a bit trickier than others, so that could have contributed also. But Sebastian Uber is finding it difficult to get past Gross. I think we're seeing the fact Gross had that raw pace advantage where he was keeping up with Denier earlier. Although we know Uber's won that pace is good because he put the car on pole. So, you know, just shows you that qualifying and racing are 2 very different disciplines that different people can excel at one or the other. But 3rd place in the strength of field we got tonight is nothing to sniff your nose at, if that's to say. And I think he can be pretty pleased with that with car mode 9 seconds down the road.
Yeah, there you go. As you see on the top of the screen, guys, got 3.6k, 3.4 and 2.9 respectively. So we have got Sebastian Uber in the 3rd place currently, with Michael Gross in front, trying to get back onto the back of Denial. I don't think he's going to do it. There is Denial at the top of your screen. 1 minute 55 remaining, but we have seen some silly mistakes all the way through tonight, Chris, as well. So, you know, from a few drivers that we wouldn't expect. The charging Samantha Oops has just made one. Not really expected, but then again, as you say, only a month into our iRacing career. Absolutely stellar drive. I believe that Simon Cowlot's just come across the live, coming across the line for the white flag tonight, Chris.
Yeah, it's gone so quickly, this race. I commented in YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and give us a follow. That'll be the end of my shameless plugging there. And subscribe, that's the terminology for YouTube.
And turn on the bells for notifications, Chris, to be up to date when every TSS broadcast goes live. Come on!
You saying that phrase is burned into my mind, so it's amazing that I couldn't remember it off the top of my head.
You got to write it down, mate. You're going to have to write it down just in case, you know, I'm ever not here, you know, you can just burn it all the way through. So, yeah, but we'll see Simon Cowlot's done an absolutely stellar job tonight. You know, you kind of get to the point with Simon that you kind of run out of superlatives to say about him, don't you, really? You know, stellar job, stellar overtaking, stellar traffic management, stellar race.
Yeah, we need some of the other regular LMP1 cohort of fast drivers to come along to give them a bit of a challenge, because this has been a little bit too easy. We haven't seen Taylor Mills in a while. Jan Curbs isn't here tonight, I assume, and you just think, yeah, just give him a bit of challenge. Who really wants to do Daytona? It's not being broadcast by TSS, so what value does it really have?
I believe, I don't know, Chris, maybe me and producer Sean are taking part.
Yes, as drivers.
You are the odd one out.
A very different kettle of fish. It's a lot harder to drive these cars than it is to talk about them, I feel.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but we are in the LMP2. There's Simon Cowlitz giving us a ceremonious flash.
He knows he's on camera.
Yeah, of course he does. He knows it every time. He knows we follow him across the line. So well done to you, Simon Cowlitz, winner of the LMP1s by 23 seconds. Barney, the flag bearer, you can't see because he's behind the wall. There he is. Flag and must have the strongest right arm in the whole of the world there, consistently waving that flag for the next 2.5 minutes. Bless him. So well done to you, Simon. Good job, stellar job. Can we pick up the Paulo Munez Timo Hayden battle? They're coming. They dropped back from each other, unfortunately. That was it. Oh, there was a GTE going into the back of Blasco. They're looking like it on the start. Yeah.
What's the 4X amongst friends?
Yeah, right at the end. Why don't you just give it to each other right at the end? You know what I mean?
Why do these CSS races always devolve into the most puerile possible conversations we can come up with?
I don't know. What's worse is just the innocent I've spoken, but my brain didn't think.
Well, I think these drivers have given us so much to think about. Our brains are frazzled because I mean, the racing tonight has been top draw, really. I mean, we've seen, again, a couple of incidents that have been a shame, but the close battling within classes was really, really excellent. And it's such a pleasure to be able to watch this each Thursday.
Yeah, it's such a shame that Gross didn't stay with Denier in the GTEs. I think that could have materialised into an absolute stellar battle. Paulo Munez got the job done on Timo Hayden as we wait for the results to come through, guys. And obviously we know that Simon Cowlitz got the job done over the entire LMP1 field by 23 seconds. That is literally incredible driving from Simon Cowlitz. Now, as Chris tried to say earlier on, guys, if you are new to the YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on them bells for notifications. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and you'll be privy to every time TSS goes live, right on the point, and you won't completely miss a thing. Chris,
I'll try and remember that for next time. Although, why try and take something over from someone who's got it down to perfection?
Well, yes, but you never know. There's always that one opportunity where I might all of a sudden stop inadvertently because I've choked on my drink, Chris, and you might have to pick it up and say it.
Well, it's unlikely to happen twice. I've done it before, but I'm privileged to be a colour commentator, and therefore I can take longer breaks.
Yeah, thanks very much for that. I'll tell you what, that is the most unfortunate. I believe the results are coming up on screen. There you go. Simon Cowlitz is our race winner, as we said, by an amazing 23 seconds. Robert Edouard is third in class, up 5 positions. Daniele Pizzo, little couple of incidents tonight, questionable at best. Luca Thingard in 5th place. Dominic Englick in 6th. Jim DeBacker 7th. Alexander Gerber in 8th. And Luke Santos, unfortunately, there in 9th place. Definitely not the most favourable ending up on your roof. Paulo Munez took the lead for the win from Timo Hayden. Nick Burke in 3rd. Dave Lloyd in 4th. Fabio Bassetti in 5th. Hughes Palmeister in 6th. Alberto Blasco in 7th. John Langan in 8th. Samantha Oops in 9th place after an amazing charge. Ended up going over the grass in Lacombe and ended up facing the wrong way and going into the barrier. Dylan Fraggleton in 10th. Yanis Menglin finished the race but was going very slowly in 11th. And the retiring Stuart Bickley lasted 0.03 of a lap and went out pretty much straight away. In the GTE, Jean-Luc Denayer, we were robbed out of a battle there with Michael Gross. Unfortunately, opened up to 2.5 seconds after the pit stops. Gross did not get it back. Sebastian Uber, 3rd there this evening, done an absolute stellar job. Jorge Carmo in 4th. David Ciccoli, unfortunately, had the incident in the bus stop, which ended Luke Santos' race. Not quite sure what was happening, trying to roll back off the line, we believe. Fabian Ali in 6th. Sergio Carmo in 7th. Gustavo Colucci finished up well, he didn't finish 7 laps down in a very battered looking Corvette. Regis Lotin did not unfortunately finish the race in 9th, and Wallerand Grevet in 10th place. So there you go. So LMP1 standing, Simon Cowlitz out in front, Jan Kerb 2nd, Jim DeBacker 3rd, Luke Santos 4th, Daniele Pizzo 5th, Pascal Nellis 6th, Dominic Englick 7th, Neil DeBacker in 8th, Amber Hawkins 10th, and Lars Meyer finishes off our top 10. So in the LMP2s, we still got Stuart Bickley out in front. Owen Carroll in second. Luca Pep in third. Marcus Deck fourth. Fraser Williamson fifth. Michael Romanidis sixth. Ross Woodford seventh. Paulo Munez in eighth. Eust Baumeister in ninth. And Ricardo Giroli in 10th. Now Paulo and Eust are the only two of the top 10 that were here this evening. So there you go. In the GTEs, Jean-Luc Denaya, Jerome Chavez, Sven Haas, Philip Meyer, William Barraviera, Anton Petrudev, Claudio Mack, Saeed Bashoa, and Lyden Lee, and of course, last season's winner, Roman Verdolivo, down in 10th place. Ooh, so there we go, Chris. That rounds out tonight's action. Chris, one word on tonight's action.
Adrenaline.
There you go, guys. We managed it.
I did it.
No, stop talking, Chris. Comes on, yes, I did it, but then spoil it after. But there you go. So that was Chris Rowlands. Finally, after about 16 weeks of trying, we've got a one-word ending from him. And that rounds out tonight's broadcast, guys. So don't forget, we have got the F3 at Jeans Bowl coming up at Tuesday live, I believe, about 9 o'clock in the evening. Chris, you're in the F3.
Yeah, I'll actually try and practice this track because it's a motorsport, which is not a good one for me. And I don't want to do any more embarrassing spins.
Yeah, we did obviously say earlier on, please go and practice on a track before you take the car out, didn't we, in a race?
Yep, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, well, I'm after now. I've got to try and go and get some practice in for Daytona because at the moment I'm not exactly exceptionally quick at the moment. Hitting 134s when people in front are doing 133s and 132s. So I am going to go off and Daytona 24 practice. But really, guys, all that's left for me to say this week is from me, Chris, and producer Sean. Take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might just see you on the track sometime.